Hello Kooka, I have recorded this little video for you so that we can cover some new things that I've learnt in the time I was with Morley and some new ways of communicating the same information but should give you some clarity, I think. So sit back and enjoy, and then I'll send you a link with the summary of all of this as well. Okay, so the first thing that I've done is I've slightly adjusted the multimix that you saw last time. Now, it is actually the same thing. There's nothing new about this. It's not new technology or new calculations. It's just I've adjusted the magnesium to be 1/4 of the actual. Now, last time we chatted about the fact that this being so high is actually representing the magnesium loss, and also that the magnesium is offsetting the higher than average calcium. So the magnesium is there working really hard to reduce inflammation in the body and that sort of thing. Now, so instead of it being the previous level, I've now got it at 1/4 of the actual, and this allows the rest of the graph to be a little bit clearer. I'm going to track across to this other option that I've now composed. Again, this is the same information that we talked about, but it's just in a new graphical format to make it a bit easier to recall and to understand. So the first thing that I'll bring your attention to is the calcium and magnesium we've got here. Now, as I just mentioned, the magnesium is actually a whole lot higher than that in raw results, but this difference in results, and also even just the fact that they're both higher, the ideal for a slow oxidizer should be about 1.2 for these, and for them to be even. So that's down much lower than both of them are, and this is a sign that your body is under metabolic stress. So then when we go across to the sodium and potassium, for a slow oxidizer we would expect you to be sitting at about 0.8. Now both of them are above that, and as you can see the sodium is nearly at 1 and the potassium is nearly at 1.5. Now again, they should be even and they should be below the red line to be at optimum. Now the ratio between both of these is a bit out of whack too, and we see this in the differential between them. So we would expect the sodium and potassium to be about 2.4, and what we see for you is that it's at 1.6. And with the calcium and the magnesium, again, because of this huge gap between here that we see, we would expect them to be sitting at a ratio of 7 calcium to 1 magnesium. Instead we see it at 1.2. Now this all represents stages of stress that your body is under at a metabolic level. So we also know from some of your other indicators that there's iron misbehaving behind the scenes, and that this is a contributing factor to the inflammation. So when we shift across and we look at the metals, so we've got copper, zinc, iron and manganese, we would be expecting to see them all kissing the line here where the green line is, and instead we see what we call a ski slope, where it zips down from copper to zinc, across to iron and up to manganese. Again, these are actually closer to the 1 than a lot of your other parameters are, but they're not all lining up and kissing that line. So it's indicating to us that there's some stress happening, again, a metabolic level, and that your body is dealing with it the best it can, and this is how we see it as a summary. Now the number here, 5/4, this represents some of the numbers that we looked at on the conundrum page. So I'll zip across there in a minute, and we did talk about these on the day. So you've got 5 out of 12 signs of copper dysregulation, and then 4 out of 5 signs of iron dysregulation, iron and copper, sorry, dysregulation. So again, this is flagging that iron is behind the scenes of what we're observing here, amongst other things, and also that your body is under stress. So this also takes into account physical stress around you, so that's work, family, environmental things, that sort of stuff, which again we talked about last time, as there is a lot of different levels of stress on you, and that will contribute to this as well as the iron side of things. So another one, we would normally expect that the boron would be around the 1, and yours is higher than that. A good majority of people that I see results for are iron anemic, so that's really, really low boron. Yours is higher, so I think that represents that you've been getting some through other methods. but also it could be like we see with your potassium and your magnesium, that you could be losing that, and this is an indication for your body. But again, either way, it's important for us to make sure that you maintain your boron levels. So I'll quickly shoot across to the key ratios page, and we talked about this on the day about optimizing digestion, that there's a bit of a warning sign with your calcium and phosphorus that the protein intake or digestion may not be ideal. So we can talk a bit more about that if need be, but that was something we covered quite a lot. These ratios are ones that we did talk about the other day, and the results that you're seeing here are actually how the magnesium is moved around in your cells, and both of those don't apply right now, so I'll leave that. Sodium and potassium, the overall vitality, it's showing extreme low, so that makes it harder for you, and this would represent a lot of what we see symptomatically for you. And as far as your awareness, your tiredness, I know you've had a lot of change with using different things within the protocol and being aware of your body over the time. You're much more aware than many. But this doesn't surprise me then that you have some of the symptoms that you do. Again, same with the adrenals. You're under chronic stress and your body is under an exhaustion level because the adrenals have worked so hard for so long. Thyroid ratio is good, and you're slightly lower for your zinc and copper ratio, but again, this is just another symptom of your iron copper dysregulation, which we'll have a look across here. So these are the ones that we again touched on last time. There's 5 of 12 here and 4 out of the 5. One of these hadn't been highlighted last time, so 4 out of the 5 of these mean that you've got significant copper and iron dysregulation happening behind the scenes. So you're one of the lucky ones that are under 10% of all clients have 4 selected. So again, it's flagging that your body's working harder. Now, when we come over here, we talked about your blood analysis. Our estimate of your red blood cell mag was about 4.5. Again, it would be worthwhile getting that at some stage retested, especially now that it's been a while since your original tests. We talked a little bit about plasma zinc, I'm pretty sure, and how one thing that's important to note is that zinc and iron share an absorption pathway, so it being a bit lower isn't a surprise when you've got iron playing up behind the scenes, so this will naturally level out as time goes by. The more that you can eat a balanced diet and get variety in your diet from meat, fish, seeds, nuts, as much as you possibly can in variety, it's really worthwhile. Now, your serum copper is flagging a bit higher than the ideal of around about 100. Again, this is an inflammation sign, and that'll stabilize as you are in the protocol for longer. Your ceruloplasmin is at 30, which is below the healthy range, and I suspect maybe higher than what is truly the representation. So we have an immunoreactive protein and peroxidase, which makes up ceruloplasmin. Peroxidase is the good one, and that's the one that helps us to deal with inflammation in the body, and the immunoreactive one is kind of like the ceruloplasmin that's been busy doing its job, and it needs to be reloaded with copper and to be in the right format for what we need. So the challenge with ceruloplasmin is we can't, from the commercial laboratories, get just a reading of peroxidase, so we get a combination. I wouldn't be surprised, given your other readings, that you would have quite high immunoreactive protein and low low peroxidase. But again, with time that will stabilize. We actually want the total there to go up to 35, but we want the red blood cell mag in the ideal measure to be about 6.5 to 7, and when those two combine together at those levels, that means that there's low inflammation. There's going to be lots of peroxidase to do its job. Now, if we have a bit of a look here, your Unusable copper is sitting at 25.5% or thereabouts, so that's about 20 points above the optimum, and that means that the usable copper is actually only about not quite 75%, where you want that to be about 95. So the more ceruloplasmin of the peroxidase type we get, the lower this will be, and the closer we will be to the 5% optimum. Now we don't know what your serum transferrin is, so we'll leave that one, but I would suspect it's probably a bit low. Now we see your serum iron, so that's kind of, think of it like your bioavailable iron. It's only at 67. So as your peroxidase type of ceruloplasmin goes up, your iron will become more bioavailable, and this figure will go up. And this one here, TIBC, it's sitting at 357. Well, the ideal for men is 340, so you're just a little bit above that. And that's pretty typical for what we would see in men who have lower iron availability, and particularly the lower magnesium levels. So now we come to a big one here. Your ferritin was 257. I'm pretty sure that you may have done blood donation since then, but I'll emphasize again, to do regular blood donations would be really, really worthwhile. This is a big inflammation marker. It's not telling you how much iron you've got or anything else. It's telling you that components that are normally inside the cell, which is ferritin, are in really high quantities outside the cell in your blood. So they're flagging inflammation. They're flagging that the liver is working particularly hard to reach that balance and that reducing the inflammation. The fact that ceruloplasmin is 30 and we suspect really low magnesium, again, they're all flagging that there's inflammation, and the more you do the root cause protocol, we mobilize the iron, and we really want to shift it out via blood donations. And by shifting out the blood donation, that triggers new blood cell creation, which will allow the iron to come out of storage. It'll go into the new blood cells. It'll allow things like the zinc to go in, even for the magnesium to go in the cells where it's needed, because suddenly the iron that was causing inflammation in the tissues is actually doing its job. Basically, it's in the blood cells. So by regularly finding a way to donate, it's really, really important and will help you considerably. Now, on the day we talked about looking around your teeth, so things like using milk of magnesia for brushing your teeth and for swishing. Also looking at adrenal cocktails. We talked about adjusting that, which I'm pretty sure that you now have done. Something that may be worthwhile investigating now is ashwagandha or withania, and I'll show you a bit more about that in a minute. So I'm just going to quickly now come over here to this stop and start list. I'm pretty sure that you've already done all of the stops, so make sure that you continue to do that. And particularly stop using fluoride toothpaste, even though I know it's counterintuitive to what we're taught, but make sure that the toothpaste that you're using is fluoride free. And I do have some spares of that children's toothpaste that I mentioned, the mineral toothpaste, if you haven't been able to find that. I have since been able to get some. Now I'm pretty sure that you were looking at restarting cod liver oil as you had backed off, but definitely if you haven't already, please get into it again. Also look at increasing your magnesium steadily, and we talked about a couple of different options there, and I'll put it in the summary email as well. Whole food vitamin C, I think you were looking at swapping to innate when you ran out of your current product, so I'd be interested to hear how you've gone there. I would be thinking with your periodontal disease side of things that you are going to need at least 2 of the innate response tablets over time, or to build up with the Pure Radiance. I think that you'll get better results with the innate. But if you've only either recently switched to this or started slowly introducing, you may find that you need to do it slowly so that your body can take on the new energy and the new components well and digest it better. but maybe one morning and night, or using it as a part of your adrenal cocktails. You might even find that you need to do other things as a part of the adrenal cocktails, and then have the additional to whole food C, which is what my husband and I tend to do. So you can get some B2 from bee pollen, which I think you're already doing. Rice bran, we talked about introducing that a little bit down the track, so you could probably start that now, I would imagine. Again, depending how you're feeling and other progress that you may have had along the way. And beef liver, you were doing, I think, 2 capsules morning and night, and I've since learned to get the optimum level of the liver with the desiccated capsules. You actually need 6 in total per day to get the equivalent of 4 ounces. And the recommendation of total liver is 4 to 6 ounces, so I would encourage you to look at upping it to be 3 capsules, I should say, morning and night. Diatomaceous earth, that might be something worth bringing into your routine, again, depending on how you go with the rice bran. Something that I had suggested recently a client was doing was one day doing the diatomaceous earth when they first got up in the morning, and then the other day doing the rice bran. So that way you get both. Yes, it's not every day, but it works into the pattern. Another thing I've found that's working well for me is if I wake up during the night, I have a cup with the diatomaceous earth right next to my bed, and I can take that, just add some water and mix it and drink it down, and then it's done. And that way it's away from food and I can still fit in other things in my routine. Boron, I'm hoping that you're getting that from foot soaks and that sort of thing. If not, that might be a good way to do it. Otherwise, just see how you go. If you're using the Amina's Daily Boost, there's some in there. You could use boron, prunes as another source, and Brazil nuts, I think, have some. Certainly they have selenium. But anyway, I would aim for getting as much boron either transdermally or via food rather than taking the concentrate. If you want to use a concentrate, that's entirely up to you, but the other methods might be enough. Taurine is something, again, you could try. If you have meat and eggs in your diet, then you're probably not as needy as some others, but again, the more you get into the protocol, the better boost I think you will find. Ancestral diet is another one. I know that food is definitely a big challenge for you in the share house situation and with the work. I would encourage you as much as you can to go for whole food options to reduce any soft drinks that you may still be having. Swap it with SodaStream or soda water if need be. That will also help your teeth, but generally fill up on water instead of the other things. Again, I don't think you're doing much of that now, but it's worth noting. And it's worth getting as much variety in things. I know that to make things easy, you may cook things once and then reheat that or use it for lunches or whatever. But if you can get some great quality products in and around our area, so that might be worth looking at. Again, where you can. And iodine, I'd just get it from food, so you can use wakame and dulse flakes and that sort of thing. It's not something that I would focus on at this stage at all for you. Now, these other things are challenges that you might find by using these products. So again, try and reduce how much chlorinated water you use. Zinc, it's not worth supplementing at all, get it from food. And molybdenum is also another one we don't want to supplement, get it from food. There is a tab here, and I've done some marking up, and I'll send this through to you. It's just with some notes about either starting now or things that I think you're already doing. So please review this and let me know if there is anything else that you have questions about. And yeah, thank you for your patience in waiting for this, and I hope that this gives you a bit more insight into things that you'll either are doing or should be doing or could try doing, and go from there. Okay, bye.